going on, everybody? Of course you know who it is. Yours truly, Mike. Back on the grind again, as you can tell. Beautiful, half beautiful day today. Walking it out. And today I want to talk about properties in the Philippines and things like that. Now, more specifically, I wanted to discuss whether you should buy a condo or whether you should invest in properties in the Philippines. Now, I know this topic of conversation comes up quite often on a lot of channels that I deal with and a lot of channels that I associate with, but I wanted to give you my personal perspective because, you know, my family, we have a condo and we had a house in Davao City, so I'm able to understand both concepts relatively well in reference to what this video is talking about. So I'm going to discuss the pros and the cons of both, and I'm going to let you guys decide on your own, okay? Now, first things first, FYI, we have to go ahead and get this out the way. When it comes to owning properties in the Philippines, of course, many of you already know that the property must be in the name of a Philippine national. Whether you have a partner, whether it be a girlfriend, wife, their name is going to be on it. Now, they're going to be the predominant name on there. Now, with our property, the house that we had in Davao, my stepmom owned 60%, my father owned 40%. Although we all know my father owned 100% of it overall, okay? So, with that being said, you have to be willing to make that sacrifice and be willing to accept the fact that you're not going to be the primary on that property should you decide to do that. Now, I've heard a lot of guys talking about, yeah, let me just lease this land for X amount of time, put a little, you know, 500,000 peso little house on there and be done with it. And then when I leave, you know, overall, I don't really spend too much. I lease the land for like 10 years, decade or so. So basically, I come off a little bit cheaper than buying and owning a property, having to worry about selling it down the line, having to worry about selling the house down the line. You know, I come off relatively cheaper as opposed to buying the property. I agree with that. I think that's not a bad idea. I personally never considered that, but hey, it's not really a bad idea to think of it from that perspective. But to be honest with you, in reference to having a condo to a house, buying a condo is way more expensive than having a property in the Philippines. Let me repeat. Having and buying a condo, depending on the size and the type of condo that you want and the area that you're living in, mind you, it could be way more expensive than having a house. Now, the condo that we have in Manila, it's up there in price, you know, close to double digits in the millions. But I can honestly say that the house that we had, switch hands, okay, the house that we had in Davao was relatively cheap. Now, you have to realize this house was built back in 2005, maybe 6 or some shit like that. No, it finished in 2005, I think, before I got there. So it was already done. So, you know, for them to buy the property plus put the house on that lot, we came in probably a shade below 2M. You know, so when it sold for a little bit more than that, right? So, you know, if we're talking about relative terms, pricing, I think you come off a little bit better if you're going to buy a property as opposed to investing in a condo. But again, where we bought our property at, we were like 45 minutes out of town, and you know, you have to be able to sacrifice travel and stuff like that. So maybe that was the reason why the lot was cheaper and we were able to get a pretty good house on that lot, you know, considering the area we lived in. And because I was used to the travel, that never bothered me, okay? Now, it may bother a lot of people. And the other day, mind you, somebody brought it to my attention because I've been looking for a negative about Davao for a long time. Because, of course, you know, I am a huge advocate of Davao City, and I'm a huge advocate of traveling to Davao City, right? So in an interview that I had the other day, he said that one of the things about Davao that's kind of hard to get around is the fact that you're, like, things are very, very spaced out. In reference to Cebu and Manila, everything seems to be congregated into one area. Like the IT park, you know, you got the mall, Ayala, places to stay, places to eat, all that stuff relatively close by to one another. But when in Davao, things seems to be somewhat scattered. If you have your malls and all of your stuff in like one place, and then you kind of have to travel a little bit to go see other places. Now, if you lived in like a condo near, come on, what's that mall? Come on, guys, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't. Near, it's an Ayala property. What? Oh my God, I can't believe I lost the name of it. They got condos nearby. They got Seta, not SM Lanang, it's Abriza. There you go, Abriza Mall. Now they have their condo set up, and that area is probably a good place to invest in if that's the kind of lifestyle that you're looking for, because you're right next door to the mall and everything is not far of a distance to travel. Now you're gonna probably have to take taxis, and you're probably gonna have to take Jeeps to get to other places, which is quite the opposite in Manila, where you could just damn near walk to everything, all right? And also in Cebu. As you can tell, I've lost my son, so I'm really not happy. So I'm not gonna be able to sweat like I want to. But back to the topic. You can do very well in buying a condo in Davao. It may not be as expensive as it is in Manila or in Cebu. And I can understand why most people choose to invest in condos in those areas as opposed to Davao City. All right, but if we're talking about just in the general sense, while investing in condos and investing in properties, 9 times out of 10, buying a condo is going to be way more expensive than buying houses, and properties are going to come off cheaper, and condos are going to be a lot more expensive because you have to pay homeowners association fees, plus all the fees here, there, everywhere, taxes, whatever, you know, and it's going to cost you in the end of the month and stuff like that. At the end of the year, it's definitely going to take a little bit of money out of your pocket. That I can agree with, because I've seen it firsthand. I'm gonna be honest with you. With our house, our taxes at the end of every year were less than 1,000 pesos, and this was legal. This was not no bullshit. Let me try to get under the table and spend as less money as humanly possible. Legally, the amount that we spent was less than 1K every year on the property tax in reference to our house. So, you know, we got off pretty well with this house. But the thing that I don't really like about having a house and investing in a property like that is the simple fact that if you don't have somebody on your property to look after it, if you're gone, that's going to be a problem, because somebody's going to come over there and take some stuff. If they know you're a foreigner, you can almost guarantee that somebody's going to come over there and try to take some of your stuff if there's nobody that'll watch your house. Don't rely on your neighbors. Don't rely on anybody. You literally have to have somebody living on the property. Maybe it's a maid, maybe it's a landowner, not a landowner, but like a property groundskeeper or whatever you want to call them. You have to have one of them staying on the property at all times, whether you are there or whether you are not there. Because if you're not, something's going to come up missing. Don't give anybody a reason to get up on your property and give them a reason to take what you have. You give them a reason, they will find it and they will take it, all right? Now, that was one of the main reasons why I really didn't like having a house at times, because if I wanted to go to Manila and kick it for a little bit, you know, it was very hard to find somebody to watch over the house. Number one, you never want anybody to know that you're gone. That's the problem. You never want anybody to know that you're actually gone, because if you know somebody's not in their house, that just gives them a reason to want to go scoop up in your stuff, right? You don't want to give anybody a reason to come up in your house. So that's one of the main negative reasons I have when it comes to having property. If you don't have somebody watching over your house like 100% of the time while you're gone, you can almost guarantee that somebody's gonna come up in your stuff and look for something to take. Last thing you want, all right? Now, with condos, you know, you have your security and everything like that, so that's really one of the positive things. But of course, that security is going to cost you, aka that probably is covered in homeowner association fees and all the other fees that you pay for, okay? So that's why I really don't advocate, that's why I'm kind of conflicted, I should say, when it comes to owning condos and owning properties. And if I had to personally choose, I would be fine with a nice little studio joint, because, you know, it's just me and maybe one other person staying with me. You know, I don't have a family yet. But when I do get a family, then I'm going to need to get something that's like bigger. Now, if I'm going to use a condo as an example, that's going to cost me 3, 4, 5 M easy, minimum, for a 2 or 3 bedroom, depending on where I buy it at. Even in Davao, they're starting to get expensive. So, I mean, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of information as far as I know in reference to buying condos and buying properties in the Philippines. Like I mentioned before, if you're going to talk about condos and stuff, positives, always secure. You know, you got security downstairs. Nobody's going to be able to get up in your stuff unless they actually live where you are or live near you and they have a key to your spot. You know, it's going to cost you a little bit more. But normally when you buy a condo, you buy one that's nearby a lot of stuff. You know, when it comes to buying properties, you want to be able to find the best, cheapest cost that you could possibly can before you buy the property. Number two, you want to make sure that whatever you're building on that land isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg, because those are two different prices in themselves. Plus, you know, building permits and all that stuff to get it started, that could definitely cost you a lot. And also you have to worry about the security matters. You know, if you don't have maids or somebody that's gonna be able to look after your stuff for you, that could definitely cause you a little bit of a headache and a lot of pain. See that guy right there? You see how it's all dark? And then I look over here, it's all light. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm moving my black head. There you go. See that? I love it. It's crazy. Back to what I was saying. I hope I didn't drag this on too long, ladies and gentlemen. I know somebody's telling me to stop saying ladies and gentlemen. But everyone, I appreciate you taking time to hear me out. I'm a little bit peeved because I'm trying to work out and my weather is getting a little janky. But I just wanted to take you on a walk with me and let you guys know that, you know, if you're thinking about properties, if you're thinking about buying condos, definitely look into how much the homeowner association fees are going to be. Definitely look at how much it costs per square meter. Definitely look into those things and see if it's something that you're willing to pay for. If you're thinking about buying properties, another thing to look at, how much that property is, cost permits to get things started. Make sure that you have a Filipino or Filipina do that stuff for you, you know, because you don't want to be the one having to negotiate fees and stuff with builders and contractors, because you can almost guarantee that they're going to give you the foreigner price. All right, definitely going to have to worry about dealing with foreigner prices. There's a lot of foreigner prices. Depends on how they interact with you. Most of the times you got to pay a lot more than you probably would have if you have a Filipina or Filipino negotiating those prices for you. Okay. Also, you have to look at, you know, a lot of other things to consider. But if you do have any more questions, you know, I'm just trying to run this off the top of my head, didn't write it down, so there may be a couple of things that I did forget. But if you want to have a conversation about it, if you feel like there's something that I missed, please leave it in the comment section below. Also, feel free to like, subscribe, comment as always, and I love you guys. See that sun right here? Bam. See how black it is back there? Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I love you guys. I truly do. Maakita, mabuhay. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Mike is out.